do anything you want. I ain't got no problem with it. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. No, come find me. No, come find me. Listen to the words. Come find me. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off.
I ain't a hard guy to find. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into NBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about, like this one right here. Show your work. Show your work. Be able to quantify it. Be able to give it to me. Be able to explain it to me. Be able to walk through it like I'm 5 years old. When the Todd McShay quotes hit the airwaves about Jalen Carter months ago, I came to this microphone right here and I told you the number one thing you have to be able to do in this industry, and he knows this as an experienced take giver or reporter, is that you have to be able to pick your battles and not only know when to pick your battles, what to say, but how to say it, right? It's one thing to know the takes to make. It's an entirely other thing to know how to make those takes or to do the reporting that you are doing. I also told you again that it was extremely important to be able to quantify and show your work, particularly when you are attacking something as important as character during a $1 million evaluation such as the NFL draft process, okay? And the only way for Todd McShay to have quantified, showed the work, or given you examples would have been to burn sources or to come out and exactly explain what it is that he had heard. He didn't opt to do those things. That's why everyone came after him, right? It's either that or sit on your hands and wait for something bad to happen in the light of Jalen Carter, and then boom, you're right. All is good in the world for Todd McShay, right? Wrong. Okay. Bruce Feldman today did some work showing. He showed some daggum work in a really, really long and extensive profile that he did on Jalen Carter over on The Athletic today. You should go read it when you have the opportunity today. Head over to The Athletic, read Bruce Feldman's piece on Jalen Carter. In that story, he spoke to Trey Scott, the defensive line coach at the University of Georgia, and others around the Georgia program who were willing to go on record, to go out in public and say exactly what it is that they think about Jalen Carter, right? And this article goes to reveal a story about Jalen Carter from this past season in which he paid for Weston Wallace, a defensive lineman who is a walk-on, former offensive lineman. They flipped over to nose tackle just because he is a monstrous human being. If you're over on patreon.com/Brooks Austin, we told you about Weston this spring, about how they moved him over to nose tackle because of the absence of Jordan Davis. They needed some bodies over there at that zero tech in that mid front. Weston Wallace, one of those guys, was doing a great job at nose tackle, but they don't have scholarship money for him, which means during, certain team meals, that guy doesn't get to eat unless he pays. That's an NCAA rule. People will ask, why is that? Why in the hell does he not get food like everybody else? Well, he's a walk-on, and certain privileges are not allowed or allotted to walk-ons without paying because, fair play, all that good stuff, 85, keeping the number tight, and, keeping a hard cap on what it is that is available through scholarship funds, all that good stuff. Well, Jalen Carter picked up the tab all year long for Weston Wallace. Again, if you haven't heard this story, it's a rather incredible character story, one that is quantifiable, one that is fact, one that is right there in front of you, not one that is conjecture or not one that is hearsay or not one that is, well, my buddy told me this or I heard this. Those are two different stories, and those are two different responses from those who read and heard those two stories over the last week. So, hey, the point being, the only questions I've ever had about Jalen Carter is why doesn't he blow up the other 60 plays of the football game like he does the 10 that we see on the highlight films? That's the only question I've ever had. You know what? Them 10 plays are a whole hell of a lot better than anybody else in this draft class from a defensive line perspective. Not edge rusher included. I think Will Anderson blows up 10 to 12 plays a game every single night. So he's valuable as well. There are two of those guys in this draft. One of them is Jalen Carter. I can show you, I can quantify you. There's some reps taken off, all right, over the years of Jalen Carter playing football. But that's life. All right. That is the life of recruiting defensive linemen. That is the life of evaluating defensive linemen. There are very few human beings on this earth that play defensive line that's motor is running at 1,000 miles an hour every single snap. A lot of them are conserving energy for major downs. And guess who is the best player in college football on major downs? Jalen Carter. We can quantify all of those opinions. We can give you that. We can show you that. We can bring you over. We can show you clips. We can break it down. We can give it to you. We can prove it. Report those things. Report direct quotes. Report the stuff that people can come out with. Or just bite your tongue on stuff that's damning. I mean, coming out and saying, team character issues, I guess that's damning information to be throwing out here on these streets. Welcome into tonight's show. We got a loaded one for you guys as usual. I want to take the quick second to tell you to hit that thumbs up button. Glad you could be here with us tonight. It is the off season. We told you the other night, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 9 p.m. We're going to be hitting you up. Last night, we had Julian Lewis, number one quarterback and number one player in the 2026 class here on the channel. If you haven't watched that, we broke down his freshman highlight tape. That joker had almost 4,200 yards, a state record, not only for freshmen, but I'm pretty sure that's the state record in the state of Georgia now for a single season. So Julian's doing big things. That is one of the better interviews I've had with a young man in a long, long time from a professionalism standpoint. If you want to see what a young professional looks like at 15 years old, go check that one out, particularly for quarterback. You quarterback lovers, everybody knows the quarterback position runs this sport for the most part. He's a big one, probably the biggest one to come out of this state since you named the last one. All right. Very, very important in the limelight, or the future rather, of recruiting for the University of Georgia, and you get some insight over there. So check that out. While I'm handling business, we got a loaded show for you guys tonight. We will take a look at what is basically going to be a realignment in the SEC. Thought Greg Sankey had some interesting quotes recently on that. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the goofballs that are potentially going to ruin your sport. Not here to be doom and gloom, but you guys know me. I like to question the quote-unquote decision makers of this magical world of college football that apparently out here, these mythical beings that are making these decisions. I don't know about y'all, but the NCAA is very clearly throwing their hands up in the matters of college football. The college football playoff basically just runs everything, and we are at the mercy of those folks. So I'm going to explain to you what the hell that means for the future of the sport that we all, everyone around here, the community that is this channel, love oh so dearly. I'm not going to say it's in peril or there is a major threat. I'm not sounding alarms. I'm just telling you, they fitting mess your game up if you're not paying attention. Not that you can do anything about it anyway, so we'll talk about it. And we will also take your suggestions for what you think will ultimately be a good change to college football that might enhance the product, something that these so-called decision makers are oh so willing to do. Glad you guys are here. Again, hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Without further ado, let's get after it. Hey, there's some SEC realignment coming down the pipe. I don't know if you've been living under a rock, but Oklahoma, Texas are making a 14-team conference, a 16-team conference coming really, really soon. Was supposed to be 2025, but, it's just money. So they bought themselves out of the TV rights. They're going to be here in 2024. What did it cost them? $100 million, $50 million a piece. So, yeah, lots of bread out there, enough to just 50 mil. Here you go. We're going to the SEC. So they'll be here really, really quick, which means in the next 24 months, the homie Sankey got to really, really figure out what conference realignment looks like and how we about to add these Big 12 jokers into this Southeastern Conference. So I know this kind of week here on this platform, these last couple of shows here on this platform have kind of felt like me trying to do Greg Sankey's job. I ain't mad at it. I mean, that's kind of what it is. We gonna pontificate upon it, as my boy Rudes is sitting here talking about in the chat. I got thoughts. I got opinions. I got things that could possibly help out here. But with the realignment stuff, let's just hear what the boss man's got to say, because I think Greg Sankey's kind of onto something. And you know what? For once in this program's history, I ain't got no takes. I'm just gonna report the news for you. Honest to God, we're just going to give it to you. I don't have any suggestions. I don't think he's wrong. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to add on to it for you. But the homie Sankey is spitting bars. This comes via the Paul Feinbaum show, as you probably would guess. SEC Network got a little hold on this here network. Again, this sound comes courtesy of the Paul Feinbaum show on SEC Network.
Formats, if you will, and from those formats, there are different models. What I said way back in the summer of 2021 is I'd like us to engage in blue sky thinking, so look at the big picture, but also figure out how we can move our teams through our campuses with greater frequency. And we still, under this 12-year rotation, haven't had teams visit some cross-divisional rivals. We then worked in groups and then individually with athletic directors to talk about priorities. The words fairness and balance came out, and then we had to define those. Fairness means some level of competitive proximity to others in the league. You'll never have perfection there. And balance is the ability to rotate teams through with greater frequency. That's moved us towards a focus on a single division model. That doesn't mean that's the only possible model for us. It moved us quickly away from this pods idea. You know, in that model, we would have sent teams back to the same place in repeated years before they'd host a team at home. That's not going to resonate well with our fans, even though over 10 years it might even out. We know a lot about divisions. We know how those work, how you would allocate teams, but we really talked about the single division model. And what's key is the number of games. We can rotate teams through either an 8 or 9 game model with a lot of frequency. What becomes really important is long-standing rivalry games, geographic proximal games. And we want to work with our TV partner to learn a little bit more before we make our final decision. So that's where we are. Those are the elements discussed. It's been
all right. Go. All is good as well. Let's hit some bullet points here from the 2-minute and 20-second clip there from the Paul Feinbaum show via Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner. A couple things. They're going to the single model. He said that doesn't mean it's the only option. They're going to it. It'll be a single model. What does that mean for college football? Okay. Well, first of all, for SEC, first of all, the quote that stood out the most to me: we've got to figure out how to move teams through our campuses with greater frequency. This has been a long-standing debate in the Southeastern Conference. The most notable one, Georgia hasn't been to Kyle Field ever. The Texas A&M's been in the SEC now for 12 years, I think. Georgia's never been there, and it doesn't look like they're going there anytime soon. So that type of, they call it balance. The defining of balance is the rotating and the frequency of playing one another. There is no balance right now in the SEC under the current model and the current division structure. So that is being removed via this one-team structure, right? They say they care about fairness and balance, which is basically everyone's way of saying, hey, man, I think it'd be really cool if we don't have to play Georgia or Alabama more than anybody else. Like, don't stack my schedule to where I got to face them dogs every single year or more than somebody who doesn't have to play them dogs every single year. That'd be cool, you know, if we can get some balance. I think there's probably some teams like Auburn that are complaining quite frequently, we'll get to them in a minute, about how, hey, it's a little bit unfair. We got to play these dudes every single year. Can we get some balance? Can y'all at least make other teams play them every once in a while as well? They also felt like the single division model, obviously, like he just told you, gave them the best chance to rotate these teams through and provide fairness. And you heard him at the end. He thought it was very, very important to withstand or withhold long-standing rivalries and traditions, which is a long way of saying, Auburn, stick it up yours, because that's about the only one that affects in a negative way. Auburn, you got to keep playing Alabama and Georgia every year no matter what. That's just unfortunate for you. Get better. That really sucks, man. It really sticks into Auburn, but everybody else, y'all get complete and total fairness. Now, what was left off of this Sankey list, if you will? If you heard those comments, what was kind of left off? To me, the most important thing that they left off, or he left off in his list and reasons why they should do this, is because eliminating divisions eliminates the opportunity or the potential opportunity for you to not have the two best football teams in your conference championship. I know for a fact, as long as Greg Sankey is alive, the Southeastern Conference Championship game will remain. You can bet your ass. it is the biggest look at us moment that entire conference has. The entire conference, the whole world looks at the Southeastern Conference on that Saturday. Don't give a shit about the Pac-12 championship game. Nobody stays up for it. Nobody cares about the Big Ten championship game. Nobody watches it. Everybody watches the SEC championship game. It is a parade for the Southeastern Conference, and they treat it as such. It is a festival. It is a spectacle every single year. They will not remove it, okay? So the idea that removing divisions, it gives you the best chance that I'm not saying the SEC is like this now, but who's to say 10, 15 years from now or 5, 10 years from now, the SEC East is way more dominant than the SEC West, or the SEC West is way more dominant than the SEC East. Or you might be sitting at home saying, nah, there's no way that's possible. I would call Fugazi. The Big Ten looks like this right now. The Big Ten West, it's dog water. It is absolute dog doo-doo. Whoever gets out of it normally is a really, really flawed football team, and they go get their brains beat in by Ohio State or Michigan. So you have to be able to avoid this. It's the same reason why the Big Ten is going to the single division model. It's the same reason why all these other conferences are probably going to the single division model. They do not want to, increase the chances of not putting their best two teams into the college football playoff or into their final postseason product when they sell it to television markets. So again, my take, I'm 100% fine with it. Again, this is the very first time in this show's history I'm bringing you something that a decision maker has decided upon, and I ain't got no beef with it. Ain't got a single beef with it. I'm fine. Rotate them all. You already are a super conference that best resembles professional football. So give me that. Give me the 16-team slate. Rotate them in. Give me some fairness. We're all good. We're all good. We're all happy. No suggestions. Ain't got nothing. Simply reporting the news. No takes on this one. The next one I got some takes about. I absolutely got some takes about the Ross Dellinger story that came out this past week. I did not realize how crooked this shot is. We're going to have to single shot this the rest of the night. I'm not looking at that. That's horrible. That's horrible pre-production planning by your boy. That's awful. Look at that. I look drunk. Giving takes out this way, boys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, boys and girls. That's on me. We're going to leave it on this one. Don't know if y'all read it today, but was it today? Yesterday. Ross Dellinger, who writes for SI National. You guys know I'm not an SI National guy. I'm just one of these measly beat reporters that just covers Georgia. So no respect towards your boy. But Ross is a national reporter. This is a dude that talks to bigwigs in college football, obviously. And he broke some news yesterday on what is a potentially landscape-changing moment in college football. Again, don't know if you've seen this. You probably need to. And if you haven't read this, all you have to do is Google college football executives. Type it into the Google machine whenever you get the opportunity. The first thing that will pop up is Ross's article. The title has since been changed, quote, college football commissioners considering 4 changes to shorten games. However, the original title was college football executives considering 4 changes to shorten games. College football executives, officers, officials, whatever you want to call it. Who are these mythical beings? I've been listening, watching, loving, following, living, dying, sweating, breathing college football for as long as everyone watching this. I know who the NCAA is. I know who Mark Emmert is or was. We put names to these faces. We put faces to these names. We did all of these things with the NCAA. We knew who they were. Who the hell are the college football executives? Who the hell are the college football officials? Who are college football officers? Who are these people? I've never heard this term in my life, not once. This was the first time sitting down reading this that I have heard of these mythical decision makers that are apparently running college football. Now, was I as naive to think that this wasn't actually happening? That the NCAA and college football already were making their own paths and were already making their own decisions, and obviously college football had some type of committee that was running it? Clearly. I was not naive. We are not ignorant on this channel. We know there are powers that be. That's what we refer to them as. But I ain't never. Today was my realization. Yesterday was my realization when I wrote these notes that it's okay to talk about college football clearly, very, very clearly and distinctly being completely associated or disassociated with the NCAA. This is it written in stone on Sports Illustrated, SI.com's homepage. College football commissioners, not the NCAA. College football commissioners decide for potential rule changes to your sport, the one that you love. The NCAA was created to implement these rules. These people are separating upon them own selves. That's what the first, before we even get into the rules, that's what you need to know. There are powers that be that are now running college football, not the NCAA. So these mythical beings, who are they? We'll get to talking about it right now. Who are these officers? Who are they? Well, the article doesn't exactly say. It does not name who these people are. It does not list them off by title and designation or job description. Why? Why would they ever do that? That's too upfront and forward with your product that you love and care for. And lots of you spend thousands and thousands of dollars or on every single year. Who are these people? I'll tell you one of them by name. They were willing to give us this one, Ross was. Jim Phillips, who is the ACC commissioner. He is willing to come out here and put his name on the fact that he is involved with the decision-making process of college football right now, along with a handful of other people. And the article says it, quote, closely resembles the college football committee. That's who makes up these decision makers. What the hell does that even mean? The college football playoff committee rotates annually, I'm pretty sure. Condoleezza Rice still out here deciding college football decisions? I don't know, but she was on the committee once, so is she up? Bottom line, these are nameless, faceless people. That's who's running. That's who's making these decisions. That's who's deciding on these new rule changes. So, Brooks, why in the hell are you so worked up? What are these rule changes? What do they even mean? Why are you so perturbed? Why are you pontificating upon this topic that makes you hot? What are you doing? Let's talk about it. The first rule that by the way, it should be noted that in this article, it states these are not up for debate for the most part. There are 4 separate proposals, but the first 2 and pretty much the third one are almost guaranteed will be implemented. Not next season, not 2 seasons from now, this fall, 7 months from now, half a year, these rules coming. So pay attention. Lock in right now if you're listening. All right, 1, prohibit consecutive timeouts. I get that. We're good. That gets you closer to the NFL, as does the next rule. No longer extending a first or third quarter for an untimed down if the quarter ends in a defensive penalty. This is a useless rule change. I've watched thousands of football games. Can't even recall the last time this happened. Basically, this is a pass interference right before the end of the first quarter. It's an untimed down. They replay it. Clock's hit 0. They go to the second quarter. Well, now they'll just start the second quarter, inflict the penalty, run the clock. It's useless. It will replace. It does nothing for the game time. It's a stupid rule change. It's not. You will never, ever, ever know that it's ever been implemented. You probably didn't even know what I just explained to you. Number 3, run clocks on first downs except for inside of 2 minutes. This is the NFL rule. NFL, you get a first down, the clock runs once the chain's set, and they blow the whistle and roll the hands. I don't care. If you want to be more like the NFL, that's fine. Those first 3 rules are only going to change or eliminate about 6, maybe 7 plays of game. It's minimal. It's minuscule. You will not notice the difference. If a football team runs 67 plays today and they run 60 tomorrow, you wouldn't know the hell of a difference. You would not. I promise you. The 4th rule. This is asinine. Never in my life will I allow something like this to go by without me raising absolute hell on this channel. Number 4, clock runs on incomplete downs once the ball is spotted. Okay. Again, the first 3 rules, you will never notice this. You will never notice this. The next rule, that last one, they say it could remove up to 15 to 16 plays per game. That's almost an entire quarter worth of drive. That's an entire drive if you're Kentucky in 2021 and Mark Stoops has got the Kentucky minus 15 line. Okay, that's an entire drive of football. That's an entire quarter of football for some offenses. That's insanity. All right. And the quote in this article about this rule, because I see some AFCA, which is the American Football Coaches Association. I see some questions about this in the chat. These rules were asked or, brought up during the American Football Coaches Association meetings in, I think it was in Nashville this year, last month. Okay. All the high school and college football coaches that want to attend, go to this coaching association meeting. They all listen to coaches speak. They all get proxied about these types of rule changes, and they all go through these discussions about how to implement change in the game. And one of the quotes about this implementation of a running clock after incompletions, this is insane. This is basically saying that coaches are basically going to say F you to this rule change. Listen to this. Quote, the impact of a running clock after an incompletion could be so significant that many officials believe coaches, in an attempt to negate the reduction of plays, would implement a more up-tempo offense. Offenses, many of which are already operate at a hurry-up mode, would move into what they call super turbo, as one official said, potentially negating the elimination of plays and heightening the risk of injury entirely. So, you want to run the clock after incompletions? Guess what? They're just going to 2-minute the rest of the time. Offensive coordinators will not stop running more plays. This article goes on to give more numbers about replay stoppage in the college football game versus the NFL game. And it goes on to give stats about how the NFL broadcast is 3 hours and 9 minutes long, and college football broadcasts are 3 hours and 21 minutes long. They are going through a hoopla. They are altering your product of college football over 12 minutes of difference. That's what this is about. But it gets better. Ross does a great job in this article explaining the fact that the college halftime is 20 minutes long. The NFL halftime is 12 minutes long. For those of you at home that do good math, 12 minus 8, which is the difference in the halftimes and the difference in the broadcast times, the delta in that is 4 minutes. We are talking about altering college football, changing rules that haven't been implemented in the game in, I don't know, decades at this magnitude, over 4 minutes worth of a television broadcast. Let me ask you something at home. Do y'all know how long a TV timeout is? Have you timed them at home? I will tell you, you don't have to anymore. Go to a football game. The nice man in the red hat, he's got a ticker on him, and he stands at the 35-yard line with his little ticker over his head. Do you know what that ticker says every time at a Georgia home game, every time at an SEC broadcast, every time at an ESPN broadcast when they go to a full break commercial? 3 minutes and 30 seconds. You want your 4-minute broadcast? College football executives, college football officers, don't take 15 plays out of my damn game. Don't take 15 plays out of my product. Take one of your commercial breaks out. You want to alter my product? Alter your bottom line first. That's the way it ought to be. Y'all stop changing this stuff so you can keep making more money. People who we don't know, except for you, Jim Phillips, acting like you care about player safety. All y'all talking about player safety. Oh, we got to eliminate all these plays that these kids are playing. Meanwhile, you're going to make them some guns play 17 games to win a national title now because you expanded to 12-team playoffs. Do not tell me you care about player safety when it comes to your TV broadcast so you can cram it with more commercials per ratio and then turn around and ask them to play 17 football games. Stupid. It's stupid that you think we're this stupid. We're not. I'm not. I'm going to bite my tongue on my last bullet point here to save my job. On to the next one. This got me heated. It's got me heated because I told you, the TV timeouts are one thing. Just fix them. Cut them shorter. Get rid of one of them. I don't need to see Mississippi State's engineering program for the 5,000th time when I'm watching Mississippi State versus Texas A&M. I don't need to see it. Cut one of them. Get rid of it. If they win, kids are going to the school. If they don't, they're not. Your data shows you that. Alabama's enrollment up thousands of percent since Nick Saban. Georgia's enrollment through the roof since Kirby Smart. You win, students come. I don't need to see a 90-second montage of the flowers on campus. That shit doesn't get people into the admissions. That's not how it works. You want to cut the product, cut the commercials. Don't cut the football. Don't cut the football. That's what we're there for. And it got me thinking, these powers that be, these people that we don't know a face to other than Jim Phillips, they're so damn focused about making money. You're so damn focused about enhancing the product for apparently fans that you care so much about. If that's the case, give me stuff that I want. Give me stuff that we've all been clamoring for decades now. Give me a college football red zone, college football officials, college football decision makers. Give me a stable and consistent rule enforcement agency. Give me something to fix tampering. Give me something to actually regulate recruiting sanctions. You want to do something to make this sport better? You want to give me something to enhance your bottom line? Give me shit that I want. Don't run the clock on incompletions. It's the dumbest thing ever. The dumbest. You work, and I hate the argument. Well, it's different conferences and way more TV deals. Y'all deal with the same 3 or 4 TV freaking companies that the NFL does. They got their shit figured out. NFL Red Zone could go from freaking CBS to Fox to ESPN on their broadcasts. Why can't your goofy ass, college football officials? You want a bottom line, quit meddling in my sport if you're not going to give me things that I don't want. Cutting 15 plays off my product. Cutting 15 plays, a whole quarter almost out of football. That's asinine. Got me thinking. What would you do? What would you do in the world of college football to make it better? Okay, I put this out on Twitter today, and I thought we got some great suggestions. But before I get to those, hit that thumbs up and like button. We got some new folks coming in on the show tonight. If you missed any portion of tonight's show, it is now available on podcast during this off season. I'm telling you, I'm working on self-improvement. I'm working on content improvement. Off season is about getting better. We are trying to enhance your product as a customer. I just gave the NCAA, well, not the NCAA, I just gave these new college football executives that we just found out about. Raise your hand, by the way, in the comments if that's a new one for you. I've never heard of college football executives, ever. I've heard of the college football playoff committee, but I was only told they decided what 4 teams go, not the direction of the sport. We're going to put it up on podcast if you missed it. Just search the Film Guy Network on any podcast networks that you use or whatever you use. I've been told it sounds really, really good on podcast, especially the NBRs. So if we're over here on NBR, we will be over there on podcast as well. Again, just search the Film Guy Network. Give us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. I've moved to a Spotify guy, but if you're an Apple guy, make sure you leave a 5-star and a review. But I put it out on Twitter. I'm not the only one with good takes. Y'all got good takes too. Put it out on Twitter. What would you do? What if you had an opportunity to change one rule or alter one rule to enhance the sport of college football? What would you do? You know what I didn't get? I didn't get a bunch of dumb shit about shortening the game. I didn't. I got a bunch of really, really good suggestions about clearing some very, very cloudy rules and judgment calls up out of the game. I got stuff that fans obviously clearly care about. I got stuff that y'all bitch and bicker about in the fourth quarter, in the red zone, in the most important portions of the game, the deciding factors of the football game. Not how many plays they ran and what you think that coordinates to player safety, you lying sacks of shit. I think it was very, very clear the number one thing we got was targeting, okay? The number one suggestion we got was how do we fix targeting, or better yet, ways to fix targeting. And the number one suggestion was a tier system. I think it's very clear to me. I've watched enough football in my life, played enough football in my life, observed enough football in my life, talked to enough really good football players in my life. I, on Saturdays and Sundays, can watch a football play, and I can be pretty precise about the intent of which a player hit someone, right? When you're watching on Saturdays, it's very clear to me what players led with their head because they were trying to kill someone. Freaking neck roll McGee from Clemson. Every time you hitting somebody, you Skowski looking mother. Okay, I can clearly see that. All right. I can also clearly see a guy who accidentally, or 2 players who were trying to get leverage, put their heads down, their crowns collided, or a safety that was trying to make a split hair decision on a play over the middle and just happened to get his head in the wrong spot. I think it's very, very clear the deciphering between those 2 things, okay? And I understand that this opens us to a gray area. It 100% does, but guess what? We're already in that gray area. So, yeah, I think the idea that Harrison came up with today, the idea, and it's not just him, but it's not new to, takes. This has been around, and it's been around so long, it shocks me that these college football executives haven't made this rule. Tells me they're pretty inept at their job. Tier 1. Man, tough play, bang, bang, couldn't get his head out. The guy obviously wasn't trying to kill someone. Tier 2, flagrant, out, get out of here. Obviously, you were trying to take that dude's head off. No room in the game for it. We see those plays every year. We also see plays where, dang, that's unfortunate. That guy couldn't get his head out. That guy doesn't deserve to be out of the game the rest of the football game or miss the half of the next one. That's bull. That's absolute bull crap. Y'all have been up in arms about it for years now. Again, it really, really makes me question the validity of these college football executives. The fact that an altering to the targeting system was not once mentioned. How good are you at your job when, the overwhelming majority of your fan base, your customer base, can hop in my mentions and fix your targeting shit in 5 comments. My personal favorite suggestion today. This one involves fake injuries. I didn't realize you guys cared about the gamesmanship as much as this. Okay, I really didn't. Y'all apparently are really, really tired of watching guys hit the deck because the pace and space offenses are moving a little bit too fast for them. And I will tell you this. If you do not think that every coach in America has some type of system in place for fake injuries, you're lying to yourself. If you think your program is holier than thou, and I'm going to speak to you, Georgia fans, because I know I'm firsthand, all right? I know firsthand of at least one occasion where this has happened. And if there's one, there's multiple. All right, y'all do it in a different way. Y'all do it in a very unique way. Y'all do it in a way that Lane Kiffin will never be, bitching at referees post-game about it happening. Y'all do it in a very unique way. But nonetheless, everyone does it. So this idea of fake injuries, how can we eliminate this? This suggestion, again, how good are you at your jobs, college football officials? This suggestion came immediately from the comments. I think it was Alex Joyce, one of them. There's like 5 or 6 of these. Hey, gonna need you to, if you go down for an injury, gonna need you to sit out the rest of the series. If you're hurt enough to miss a play, you can miss 6. Yeah. Y'all want to talk about player safety? You can't come back in the whole drive. We got to take some time to evaluate that joker. Oh, and by the way, if you go down because it might just be a little hip check, or if you go down because you're trying to slow down the offense, you're out the rest of the series. You can come back next possession. What an epic rule change that would immediately eliminate this. Or it would force them to sub in a player that they don't care about and have him drop down immediately after one play. By the way, you can't sub if the offense don't sub. So now you really got to take some time out to think about making a guy fake an injury so you can get a breather. That ain't going to happen under this rule change. This rule change would eliminate all of this. We're going to stop pace offenses by just dropping down. What a brilliant suggestion by our followers today. Again, college football execs, where you at? Where you at? Y'all out here trying to keep the clock running on incomplete passes. Dumbest shit I've ever heard. We got some really other solid suggestions. Pass interference should be a spot foul. Y'all want to be like the NFL so bad? 2 feet, good on Sundays, make it good on Saturdays. Spot fouls on PIs. Stop letting guys get beat by 50 yards, tackle the dude, and only have to give up 15. Make it a spot foul. Inside the 20 or inside the 15, you make it half the distance to the goal, or in the red zone, you put ball on the 1, spot foul. Just like the NFL. You want to be like the NFL? Be like the NFL. Don't half in, half out. I love how that we want to be like the NFL excuse from these mythical decision makers comes out in very unique situations where they want to talk about it. You know where they're not wanting to be like the NFL? Salaries, revenue splits, pensions, the stuff that costs them money. But they sure shit want to be bound together and all about unity when it comes to their bottom line. Also had some great portal suggestions about transfers and things like that. You still have to sit out a year, all that good stuff. We should go back to that type of rule change. Player safety for me, or player mobility to me, has never been an issue. I don't care if guys want to leave. It's your job as a football coach to make them want to stay or find a reason to make them want to stay, right? Whether it be development, whether it be a personal relationship, whether it be paying them a little bit extra money in NIL, which, again, if you don't think that's happening in college football, you're a little crazy. Whatever you have to do to keep your assets and keep your talent, that's your job. I don't care about player mobility. It's never bothered me, ever, and I don't think it will. The tampering does. The calling guys in the middle of the season and tell them that you're going to give them an NIL deal that's twice as much as they're currently getting, and that they need to go into their coach's office and bargain. That stuff right there, That is poison to this sport. I would change that immediately. And this one comes directly from Jamie Goodman over in Discord. He wants to change the pay-for-play format, just like we were talking about. He wants flat rate per athlete on the roster across the board at the D1 or conference level. Remove all booster and fan-driven collectives or the involvement into NIL. Allow real NIL deals via approved agencies only. This has been my content since the beginning of this. Like, name, image, and likeness. That is what you are supposed to be paid off of. And to me, name, image, and likeness could be replaced by the word marketability. How marketable are you? And what does that mean? Well, actual companies have to want to pay you to market their shit, right? The Crystals deals that all the Georgia teams been doing, or all the Georgia players were doing for a while. I would venture to say that was a cash deal from Crystals to get them to tweet out to their, or Instagram out to their followers. Probably a one lick, Instagram it, boom. I've seen some pizza deals working like that in Athens. That's all fine and dandy. NIL Collective paying $8.3 million in cash money over monthly installments to a bank account that's ciphered through an LLC. That shit is illegal, fam. That shit is legal money laundering. That's what they're doing in college football. That shit got to go. That's got to go. Go soon. Okay? That's bad. That's bad for the sport. And you will say, but Brooks, they've been doing this forever. No, they have not. No, they have not. Used to, before NIL, when the stuff was illegal and there was an NCAA enforcement agency, there was a unknown, unspoken law book, rule book. If you do something at the plate, next at bat, we're going to hit you, Ole Miss. Okay? If you do something at the plate, or if you're driving too fast down the Autobahn, all right, USC in the early 2000s, we're going to run you down. That's what we're going to do. The death penalty is not going to exist, but if you're doing something that everybody knows you're not supposed to be doing, we're going to come get you. That kept people from doing felonious activity. Right now, that's all there is felonious activity. All right? We're going to hit super subs, and I literally, by law on this channel, have to hit Jeremiah's, and I don't want to do it. FJ says, ban the QB sneak from the milkman over in OG's chat. No, I love the QB sneak. I love the wedge. If we get rid of the QB sneak, we can no longer wedge block. And the wedge block is the best thing ever invented, except for when you're a center. It kind of sucks. It just means you're getting ramrodded up the cheeks. Yeah, I said it. Pause. On to the next one. Change targeting from head-to-head to intent. Also give coaches the ability to challenge the validity of any 15-yard penalty once a game. I've never liked the idea of being able to review or challenge penalties. I like the idea that there are still judgment calls and in-the-moment calls in the game of football. And that means sometimes you're on the bad end of a break. That's life. That's sport to me. I don't want to be in a controlled environment. I don't want it to be played in space, right? Where there's no wind, no rain, no nothing. I don't want it to be there's no chance. I want there to be some unpredictability about this sport, about this game. That to me, that's what I love about it. I think that's why you have such ups and downs. That's why you're so irrational when games happen or when things don't go your way. It's why you have joyous moments when things do go your way to the extreme that you do. I love that about the game of football. Jeremiah says, give centers a chance to be eligible for a pass. I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I had 37 starts at center in college. I ain't getting hit. It's all fine and dandy to hand me the ball in that B gap or hand me that ball in that A gap. I'm cool with that. Running downhill, I get to see what I'm fitting to hit, all that good stuff. You got me doing this one down the middle of the field, and Steven, the safety, sticks his helmet right up underneath my chin strap. Done. I'm good. Because I'm going to tell you what, it's all fine and good. Big boy touchdowns are fun. You know, it's funner for defensive football players to absolutely decapitate a fat child. That's what they see. When they see a big, rambunctious, round fella running down the field with his head up looking for a football, son, that's their version of me seeing a Big Mac, fam. That's what that looks like. Hey, Christian Kirby says, quit ducking me in NCAA. Ain't happening. Ain't ducking nobody. Hey, you got my phone number. You can find out where I live. You can come get these hands, cuz. I'm about that. Anyways, speaking about that, we will be back Thursday evening, 9 o'clock. If you are not subscribed to the channel yet, what the hell are you doing? I mean, seriously, who doing it like this in the off season? One man, one mission to be here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, bringing that fire to you folks on this channel. And Robert says Billy Bob can do it, so can anyone. Scan my cat. Yeah, cat scan reference is epic. Decent movie. Appreciate you guys for being here. The Film Guy Network, for the Film Guy Network, for patreon.com/Brooks Austin. I love you guys. We'll see you Thursday. Hey, go call someone you ain't talked to in a while. Tell them you love them. Tell them you're thinking about them. Tell them that you love them. You might just save someone's life.